broadcast as usual. I don't even give a fuck about the likes. Fuck the likes. Fuck the likes. Fuck the views. I don't even give a fuck. Okay. This is straight truth telling. Fuck the haters. We don't even care. There's just too much to talk about. They're doing UFC at the White House as we speak. You guys are probably watching that instead. My fans. My fans are definitely watching the UFC White House Super Brawl, the pay per view, the premium live event, as well as should. It's a piece of American history. We salute you, America 250. What's Mike Love gonna do? His voice is shot to hell. I don't know if people have seen recent footage of Mike Love. I mean, we're world champions, everybody. You probably heard about it. The Knicks won the fucking NBA championship the first time, so we're going to talk about that. I was there. I was practically there. I was in the East Village at the time. We'll talk about that. I want to talk about NAFTA. I was reading this book about NAFTA today. Well, I think it was about how Bill Clinton's a neoliberal or something. I was curious. I was curious to know more. We might talk about the fucking Soprano. I don't know. You know, I've been thinking in my head last few days, oh, I'm going to talk about this, I'm going to talk about this. Then I get on, I have no idea what I'm going to say. So we'll see. Let's just get into it. Hold on. Uh, Today I made an emergency trip to Jefferson Market Library because I have two poems in this zine that is pretty cool, actually. I think I saw at the library they had like a setup. Hey, we're making this zine and you can submit here. I sent them poems like a few weeks ago, you know, because this last couple months, that's what I've been kind of focused on is like sending shit out to get published because I feel like that's kind of the part of my career. I don't really pursue that. You know, I never send shit out to submit it. And even people that like hound me to fucking have things, it's like I barely ever, it's very difficult to get me to send something to a publisher because I just hate email and, you know, I've been high for 12 years basically. So, but now I see the error of my ways. Now I see that that's like, you know, that might even be more than half the equation. These readings and shit, for one thing, you don't really get the readings unless you publish. And the readings are so ephemeral, they're more kind of like a vanity thing. They don't really add up to anything. You know, it's nice to do them and it's kind of egos stroking your ego and shit. But like, oh man, I just don't know how much longer I can stand doing this and watching people tune in and then leave. I know I shouldn't call attention to that, but drives me insane. I did this typewriter poetry thing yesterday, which was pretty cool. It was like part of the scavenger hunt that I was invited. Shout out Trachtenberg, Jason Trachtenberg, and Pigeon Lady, Mother Pigeon, for giving me this job. It really helped me a lot. So I want to thank them for that. I got paid $300. And I wrote some pretty good fucking poems, I think. I was kind of surprised. Good because the people that it was like a game, you know, it was like somebody's birthday, and so they do like a scavenger hunt, and there's a bunch of different like characters. There's like a tarot guy. There's like a fucking I don't even know magician or something. There's the pigeon lady. Then there's me, the fucking dirtbag poet, the Bushwick poet dirtbag. So it was super fun. Weirdly enough, just by total coincidence, they stationed me in front of St. Mark's Church. The clue was like the Lions of St. Mark's in the Lions games. I was in the Lions games. So I was like this. I sat at the foot of this tree, which I thought was, I didn't really have a costume. I didn't have a typewriter. So I'm sure the people that were running it just thought I was like, not, like most things that I get hired to do, I feel like I just feel like I'm not probably what they want. I'm probably underwhelming. But I'm in the poetry department, I think I was overqualified because the people on the scavenger hunt, they don't give a fuck about the poems. They're just trying to get the clues and the coins and shit and move on to the next thing as fast as they can because it's like a fucking race. It's like the Amazing Race or something. So it's like I got to write these poems as fast as possible. A bunch of people wanted poems about the Knicks. I wrote like 3 poems about the Knicks and other things. But it was super fun. I had it, and it was like, I mean, it was just, yeah. The people in the scavenger hunt were super cool. So I hope they invite me back, and it gave me confidence to try this typewriter poet thing. I'm very against. I mean, I hate typewriter poets, but I think it's probably my future. I think it's probably the best way to do poetry now, actually, because I think you can actually kind of make money. I don't know if it's oversaturated and that fad is kind of on the wane. As usual, I'm getting the party late, but I one of the reasons why I don't do it is because I don't have a fucking typewriter. The typewriter's like half the job. It's part of the twee quirky. It's like you gotta have a fucking typewriter. Me, it's just like I was writing this shit, like in my handwriting. It's kind of janky, but so anyway, get your copy of the Jefferson Market Library thing. This is, as far as I know, it's only available at Jefferson Market Library in the West Village. So it's on Avenue of the Americas. So I mean, I think she said they made 30 copies. I got an email yesterday. I sent in some pieces that I thought they were kind of old. They're from my chapbooks in like 2021 because I was writing all about like the West Village and stuff like that. So I sent them a bunch of stuff that was very pertinent to like Greenwich Village history and references and shit. And then I got an email back from the librarian, hey, thanks for sending. And they didn't specify what they were going to take or any of. And so they published 2 of my things. My poem about Buddy Holly, the apartment tape, and my poem that is sort of a bunch of references to like, let's see, E. E. Cummings, McSorley's is in here. Willie and Phil is a Paul Mazursky movie that takes place in the West Village. Next Stop Greenwich Village, another Paul Mazursky movie, takes place in Greenwich Village. Biden like went and ate somewhere in the West Village. There's a line from Mean Streets in here. So it's a super cool magazine, and like I really appreciate that the editors had the balls to publish my avant-garde poetry. I'm honored to be a part of it. It's free at Jefferson Market Library. I got an email yesterday that was like, we printed 30 copies. They'll probably gone this weekend, but we're gonna print more if you can come and get. So I like rushed over. I was gonna do it yesterday, but I was doing the typewriter poet thing, so I rushed over there today because I wanted to make sure to get a couple copies just to have for myself and just see what it was. And like I mean, look at this artwork; it's pretty amazing. So it's like it's very well put together, very colorful. Most zines are kind of like low quality. They're lo-fi, shall we say. I'm going to read this piece about housing affordability that I read today. And this is a magazine they put out in the West Village, the Lower West Side, the Village View. And there's a bunch of pieces in here about housing affordability. And so it was a really good issue. I think there's some people running for office and shit, so there's stuff I like the politicians. But I read there was this piece in here about a housing affordability that I thought was the best thing I've ever read about. So I am going to read that. This is the overture of the broadcast, everybody. So I'm telling you what I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to tell you what I just told you. Okay. So the Jefferson Market Library, a lot of celebs go here. Okay, Bette Midler. I saw Mo Rocca the other day in the Jefferson Market Library. Mo Rocca of CBS Sunday Morning and Wait Wait Don't Tell Me fame. So who knows? Maybe Mo Rocca is reading my poetry about Buddy Holly. And when I left, there was none of them left on the rack. So maybe people did go and get all of them. They may already all be distributed. So if you didn't get a chance to snag yours, blame it on Bette Midler or F. Murray Abraham, who I've seen over by that library before. All the celebrities, Sarah Jessica Parker, they all go here. I mean, it's this building right here. It's this clock tower on Sixth Avenue, and it's one of the most magical buildings like in the world that I've ever seen. And the fact that it's like a New York Public Library and like the librarians are super hip and cool. They've got great curation. They've got cool events that they do. I mean, it's in the West Village, so it's not necessarily bursting at the seams with like a bunch of hip fucking dime square douchebags or anything. But I like it's a magical locale for a poet and a vagabond, and so it's part of my Harry Potter adventure in the arts to we've done a bunch of readings there, we've done screenings. I haven't done anything in a few years there, but uh I'm just trying to get my work into these little fucking magazines and shit. So I've just been anything that I see that's like free to submit to. And I encourage other writers to do this as well. If something's free to submit to, it's like fucking why not do it? It's what the worst they can do is reject you, which sucks, but like, I've gotten two things published in the last 2 months. I'm in the fucking Zine Life or the Scene Life, which is like this local New York zine that's circulated all these open mics, and I'm in this. So I haven't gotten any rejection letters yet, and it's kind of Knicks colors. They probably did that on purpose. It's orange and blue. Should we talk about the Knicks? Go Knicks, go! So last night I was in the East Village because I just wanted to be a part of it. I was kind of hoping that they wouldn't win because it's just like it's been such a crazy kind of magical time in New York, and so like I kind of wanted to draw it out a little bit, but it was good that they just got it done. That's the New York way. They're not going to blow it like some fucking Ohio team would. If it was Cleveland, they would have fucking they would have the Spurs would have come back and beat them in 7 games or something. But not in New York. They fucking shut their ass down. That even kind of looks like a basketball up there. I wonder if they did that on purpose. I mean, they had to have done that on purpose. I don't get it why people tune into this and then immediately leave. Like, what the fuck do you think I'm going to be doing? Like, what could I possibly do that's going to, like, make somebody who clicks this be like, oh, yeah, I want to watch this? I just wish they didn't even show you this fucking number, man. In fact, maybe I should put tape over it or something. Like, I really don't want to know how many people are watching this or liking it or anything. Because obviously this doesn't work and I just don't even know what to do. I just keep doing it because I just feel like it's my take dump. These are all my takes from the last few days. I've been arguing with people on Twitter about anything and everything. Um, so what the Knicks, right? Is that it's already kind of over? I saw Ben Stiller on Seventh Avenue on Wednesday, I think, or was that Thursday? maybe it was. I think it was. Well, maybe it was Thursday. It was the day. It was the day after. Well, right, Wednesday they had this insane comeback. It was like the biggest comeback ever in the fucking NBA finals. They came back, and that was kind of how the last two games went. It's like they were down by kind of a lot. Even the last game, they were down by like 10, 15, 20 points or something, and they came back again. This Spurs team is just a fucking joke, man. It's like it was poor like game management, I felt like that Wednesday game, they had the ball with like 10 seconds left and they were up, and the guy just he took a shot or something. It's like, dude, just hold on to it. Run the fucking clock out. It's like that's just like gamesmanship, it's just like they didn't have it. Whereas New York, on the other hand, Jalen Brunson, they got the job done, baby. Unlike these fucking Ohio teams. It's nice to be a part of winning, not just a bunch of sad fucking heartbreak tragedy, blowing it at the last minute, like the fucking Cleveland Indians and the fucking you name it, whatever. So anyway, Wednesday or whenever that was, that game was Wednesday. I was here. Remember, I think that was the last live stream I did. I was live streaming live while the game was happening. I wasn't watching because they were down by like what 30 fucking points or something. So I was just like, plus it was what was it game four? Like they weren't, or was it game three? I don't remember. But like Trump was there. The only game they lost was the game Trump attended, of course, because he has the fucking reverse Midas touch. Everything he touches turns to shit, including the United States of America. In the White House, they're doing this fucking UFC thing right now. You guys feel free to change back and forth. If you want to watch the Ultimate Fighting Championship at the White House, I don't blame you. But it's just a crazy time for sports. We got the fucking NBA Finals with the Knicks. We got the World Cup in New Jersey. We got fucking UFC and fucking action. What is that? Action fucking motorbiking in the fucking White House Rose Guard. It's insane. And New York, center of the sports universe right now. So anyway, on Thursday, I made a optometrist appointment because my glasses, like I snapped my glasses the other day. I like leaned on them the wrong way and it like snapped the plastic. So I go to this optometrist on 7th Avenue. They were great. They did a great job. They had all these crazy machines I've never seen before that looked like the fucking Star Wars arcade game from 1983. One of the greatest arcade games ever made. Oh, yeah. Rest in peace, Matt Bizzarro. I should mention that. This guy from Columbus, Matt Bizzarro, who's an amazing guy, amazing drummer, amazing musician, and just super cool guy. One of the coolest guys I've ever met. And I only hung out with him for like, I mean, maybe I'm biased because my name's Matt. He's in the Brotherhood of the Matt. I mean, what a cool name, Matt Bizzarro. That's his real name. He's Italian, so they called him Bizzarro. And I only hung out with him maybe one time my entire life. My brother's wedding. He came to my brother's wedding. And it was just like, wow, this guy is so fucking cool. And like, he just fit in with us like perfectly. He's another hipster white guy, but he had like humility. He was actually cool. He wasn't like full of himself, arrogant, like a lot of these fucking scene people can be. Just trying to broadcast apathy or like they're better than you. He was super nice guy, funny, fucking smart as hell. A few years ago, he got colon cancer somehow. I mean, this is something we're seeing, right? Like a lot more people under the age of 50 are getting cancer, colon cancer, colorectal cancer. It's like a more common thing. I don't know. I think it's energy drinks or something. They said the thing that one of the chemicals in Red Bull or who knows? Who knows? I don't know what. Like I said, I only hung out with the guy one time. He was kind of friends with my brother. He was more friends with my brother because my brother's a drummer. We're both named Matt, so I think my brother just wants to hang around, white, fucking brown haired, fuck boys named Matt. Makes him feel, like a home or whatever. Uh, Not that Matt Bizarre was a fuckboy. He had a kid. I don't really know, you know. But he was an amazing drummer, and just like I said, super cool guy. I saw on Instagram he passed away. I saw a few weeks ago he had like a on his he had a GoFundMe and it said he was like in hospice. So who the fuck knows, man? I mean, rest in peace, poor guy. It's a shame. It's just I don't know what the fuck is going on with this planet. This planet just sucks. All of the best people die. All of the worst people are in charge. Elon Musk has $1 trillion, right? World's first trillionaire. Yippee. We did it, guys. We did it. We made Elon Musk a trillionaire. We created so much inflation. They printed so much fucking money. Money is so worthless that this guy that creates no fucking value, who's a racist, far right piece of shit, is the world's first trillionaire. Sucks ass. So we'll talk about that. The world's just upside fucking down. All the best people die early. All the worst people are in charge. They're doing UFC on the fucking white. Something. Is it the CERN? Is it the Hadron Collider? Something. There's some kind of rip in the fabric of reality. And this planet is just a prison planet. It's just a piece of shit. It's all about suffering. And I mean, so the Knicks game, I went to the East Village because my plan was to, because like I mean, I wasn't out on Wednesday when they did this comeback. And then the next day, you see all these fucking videos of Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David and fucking Chalamet and all these fucking asswipes who are like, "Oh my god, it was the greatest fucking moment of our lives," like this fucking. It was one of the happiest nights of my life being at the Garden when the Knicks came back and it was awesome. Like, don't get me wrong, like good for them. Like, I like this team. You know what I mean? I really do think they deserve it. And I'm glad that they won. I'm not a hater on the Knicks. I'm super supportive. And I was into it. I followed at least the last, the finals. And shout out to Spike Lee. I got a lot of fucking admiration for him. I am gonna talk about Spike Lee more. He seems like a good guy. I feel like I would get along with Spike Lee. Every time I see him, I'm like, I don't know. I like this guy. Not that I fucking know him or anything, but I feel like I would relate to Spike Lee in some weird way. Maybe that's crazy. But every time I see him, I'm like, I just like this guy. I don't know why. Not his movies and stuff. Obviously, he's a genius filmmaker, one of the greatest American filmmakers alive, certainly. But even just his kind of bearing or whatever, I'm like, I like this guy. So anyway, Wednesday I didn't go out, so it's like I missed out on this huge fucking. As everybody knows by now, New York just like erupts into these crazy fucking parties, and I'll get back to that. So anyway, Thursday I go to the eye doctor. As I get out of the eye doctor, I'm on 7th Avenue and like 15th Street. There's a West Side Market there. People who know me know I'm like the world's biggest West Side Market fan. So I'm like cruising around trying to find something to eat. Next thing I know, I see this guy. He's got a backpack. I think he had a backwards hat. He was wearing sunglasses, wearing Nick's shirt. He was a little shorter than me. I gotta say, not that that fucking matters. Not that I could give a shit at all. But Ben Stiller, he's probably 5'6" or he was like noticeably shorter than me. And I'm not like the tallest fucking guy in the world. I'm pretty average height, I would say. But Ben Stiller was like probably 2 inches shorter than me, maybe more. And I didn't say anything to him because like that's just my policy with celebrities. Is like I just don't approach them anymore. I just like I don't want to bother them, and like I don't. It's like when I was a kid. One of my earliest memories. Well, maybe not one of my earliest memories, but an early memory. I remember Fox after The Simpsons on Sunday. They showed the Ben Stiller show. That was like probably what 1991. I was like 5 or 6 years old. Fox in those days was like fucking lit. In Living Color, Ben Stiller Show, Simpsons, Married with Children. It was fucking primo stuff. And even as a little kid, for whatever reason, I thought that I distinctly remember a skit, Oliver Stone Land, which was a parody of Disneyland, but it was Oliver Stone. And it was just like, even as a kid, as a 6 year old, it's like, how much could I have fucking, I guess that would have been 1991 because that's when JFK came out. How could I possibly know what the fucking joke even was there? But I don't know. I just keyed into that. I've always, I mean, Ben Stiller has become this mega comedy, like Meet the Parents and shit like that. But like, I was into him more as this kind of alternative comedy. He was very smart for a nepo baby. Ben Stiller is about as good as you could hope for. Where it's like you could tell he really loved filmmaking. He loves, dramatic arts or whatever, acting, and he did good work. He did fucking Reality Bites. When I was in middle school, The Cable Guy was like my favorite movie. When I was in seventh, eighth, ninth grade, like The Cable Guy was my absolute favorite movie. I loved Jim Carrey. Ben Stiller directed The Cable Guy. So I've always been, and if you watch The Cable Guy, I mean, it got savaged by the critics at the time because Jim Carrey made $20 million. It was like the first $20 million paycheck. And so the critics just tore The Cable Guy to pieces because it's a black comedy. It's not Meet the Parents. It's sort of like this nightmarish, but it's sort of a Rosetta Stone for comedy. Judd Apatow produced it. Jack Black's in it. Oh, it was the first time I ever remember seeing Jack Black or Owen Wilson. Janine Garofalo's in it. Andy Dick's in it. They're on Ben Stiller's show. Odenkirk's in it. David Cross is in it. Fucking George Segal is in it. Matthew Broderick is great in it, even though he killed a guy drunk driving. Even at the time, like I knew that this was like I don't know, I just loved The Cable Guy. And so I saw Jack Black in The Cable Guy. I was like, who the fuck is that guy? IMDb was new at the time. Figure out what Tenacious D is, download some Tenacious D songs from Napster. This was way before Jack Black was like, now he's like, A-list plus. Everybody loves Jack Black. He's world famous. But at the time, he was just like, he was a scene stealer. He was in a lot of movies. He'd have a small part. Owen Wilson, same thing. Owen Wilson has a very small part in The Cable Guy. But there's just something about him where you're like, that guy's funny. What's his deal? I want to see more of him. I think Ben Stiller was a big fan of Bottle Rocket, and he cast him from that maybe. And Ben Stiller's in fucking Tenenbaums, for Christ's sake. It's like you can't beat that. That's about as good as it gets in my lifetime. And so I got mad, mad, mad respect for Ben Stiller. He seems like genuinely a good person, to be honest. And I mean, so anyway, this was way before Tropic Thunder and all that shit. Now Ben Stiller is like this comedy fucking box office, you know, smash or whatever, and everybody knows who Ben Stiller is. But in the '90s, he was a little bit more of like this kind of like esoteric or something comedy. It was more kind of like back when comedy actually had like a level that was actually like sophisticated and intelligent and cool. Now comedy is just a bunch of you know, fucking plumbers and racists and fat fucks and alcoholics and stupid manosphere bullshit. So anyway, I saw Ben Stiller in Seventh Ave. And it was literally the day after they fucking had this huge comeback. It's like this guy is on camera at every fucking Knicks game. He's probably like what, one of the most visible courtside, and he's die hard. Ben Stiller has been going to these fucking Knicks games since like I think he said 1974. He's literally going for more than 50 years. That's kind of hard to believe, actually. And so he's seen them, be bad forever, just like a fucking Ohio sports fan. And so it was literally the day after this huge comeback that sort of turned around their playoff fortunes. And so I thought it was a good omen. I was like, okay, there's Ben Stiller. I didn't, like I said, I didn't say anything to the guy because, like, I don't want to have a shitty interaction with Ben Stiller where he's like kind of a dick or just kind of brushes me off, which is probably what would happen. But like, people recognized him, like he was walking to the subway at 14th Street. We were on 15th Street, and like three or four people stopped him in that one block. And so I could tell he kind of like saw me notice him. But, I thought the policy in New York was like, you don't harass these people. They're just like us. It's New York. There's famous people. I saw Dave Foley the other day. Like I said, I saw Mo Rocca. There's famous people everywhere, you know? And so if you're a real New Yorker, you're just cool about it. You're not like, oh my God. But all these people went up to Ben Stiller and were like getting pictures with him and shit. I heard this one guy started walking back to me. He's like, oh my, it's Ben Stiller. Meet the parents. So it's probably just like, this is Ben Stiller's life, trying to fight his way down the street. And he probably just has the dumbest fans. That's the thing is when you get that famous, your fans are probably just fucking stupid. It's like Annie Hall. We got an LV singer here. They don't even know who the fuck he is. Who are you? You're somebody, right? Who are you? LB Singer. We got LB Singer here. It's like, if you're Ben Stiller, chances are people know you from Meet the Parents. They're not going to come up to you and be like, oh, yeah, Reality Bites, man. I loved it. Or, there's any number of fucking things I could talk to Ben Stiller about because I'm a real fan. I love his Tom Cruise impression, The Hustler of Money. But it's like, what am I gonna? I'm gonna have a 2-second interaction with this guy. Maybe I'll get a picture. I don't know. Maybe I should be more like forward with celebrities and just like just try it, just see what happens. Just try to have an interaction with them. But and I think I read the other day that Ben Stiller's worth $300 million, which is conceivable considering he was in like these mega franchise movies. He's in all these animated movies. Like, what isn't he in Madagascar and shit like that? I think you make a lot of money from those fucking movies. And so, it's like if that's the worst problem this guy has is that like people recognize him on the street and want pictures and stuff. It's like, well, he's worth 300 fucking $1 million. Like he could put up with it. But at the same time, I've just had so many bad interactions with people I admire that I just don't. I just think it's kind of it's not a great quality to like to have these heroes. They're just fucking people, and like, who cares? Who fucking cares? Like they shouldn't be put on a pedestal. Famous people, whoever, famous writers, famous whatever it is, famous artists, they really don't deserve to be revered in like the way that they are, to be honest. And so that's just kind of my own personal policy now is like I'm like the opposite. I'm the open mic guy. Rather than like try and suck off these famous people, it's like I'm in the shit with all the nobodies. And I'm a nobody. So and like these famous people, they're kind of full of themselves and they act like it's some huge problem. I mean, it's got to be weird to have people just come up to you all the time. And like he kind of like he walked back to where he was walking. He looked kind of lost, like he didn't really know what to do. It looked like he was a little bit afraid that like a bunch of people were going to come up to him. But he also looked like I mean, it was probably one of the happiest days of the guy's life because he's such a diehard Knicks fan. They literally had the greatest fucking comeback any team had ever had the night before. So, you know, I'm sure he was on cloud nine. He could deal with a few fans and shit, but uh like I said, I don't want to be disappointed by these people. And it's kind of enough just to see him on the street. Like what? what do I need to talk to the guy? It's like we're not gonna have any kind of deep fucking conversation or anything. He's just trying to get to the subway. So, any case, it felt like a good omen. So then Saturday was the last game of the finals. Game, what was it, five? Nixon five. And that stupid fucking Knicks poem is probably like the biggest poem of like the last 10 years. My mayor Muslim, my bagel Jewish, my Christian Dior, Nixon four. That's probably the biggest, most famous poem anybody has written like this century, to be honest. And because it's like you see it everywhere, you hear people saying it everywhere. It's like a meme. It's kind of annoying if you ask me. But in any case, Saturday night, I didn't want to have FOMO. I wanted to go out and be a part of it. And like, it's this is part of the reason why you pay to live in New York and part of the thing that makes it different, I guess, maybe. Or I don't know if it makes it different, but just like I mean, this more than anything maybe that I've seen in my time here, like I wasn't here when Trump got beat in 2020. I don't really think there's been anything else comparable to that in my time in New York. But, I wanted to be a part of it, the big to do, the big, whatever was going to happen. And to be honest, like it is kind of a crazy thing to behold. Just, it's kind of like the opposite of the George Floyd protest because it was just like there was fucking people everywhere. It was just like every fucking street practically was just like full of. It's like I didn't know there were this many goddamn people in the city. And I just wanted to kind of observe it more than anything. Like I can't smoke weed right now. I can't drink, so I'm sober. So I'm not really like get shit faced like everybody else. But like I still want to go out and like witness this like part of history or like I mean, how often does a city come alive like this? Maybe like at the end of World War II. How many times in New York City history, have the cities been like that? Like almost never. It's a rare thing. But that being said, I think this is one of the things that separates New York from other cities is it is such a there's so many like commons that are built into it. There's all these squares, Washington Square, Sheridan Square, Union Square, Tompkins Square, Times Square. It's like there's tons and tons and tons of places for people to gather. It's built for that. It's built it hasn't like every other American city had its heart and guts ripped out to make it a car centric suburb. Basically, New York is still sort of like a pre 20th century infrastructure where it's like it's pedestrian forward. It's meant to have this kind of convivial life on the streets where people just kind of flow through these different gathering places and staging areas and kind of nexuses of public because they needed that shit. They needed places to get people together to communicate things, to have, now it's like everybody does that on TV or uh whereas the game on Wednesday, I remember the next day, I don't think I've said this yet. It reminded me, not that I was a part of it. I was here in this apartment, so I wasn't like out in the streets with all the other people celebrating on Wednesday. But just the videos I saw of it and the freak nature of how they won was like really special. And it reminded the way they came back, and he won at the last fucking minute with like this crazy tip in. And it reminded me of if you've ever read Underworld, Don DeLillo. At the beginning of that book, there's 100-page. It's basically like a novella. It's like a long short story. They published it by itself under the title Pafko at the Wall. I don't remember. I think it's called It's named after some Bruegel painting, I think, in the book, the actual book. But the whole, it's Underworld is like fucking 800 or 900 pages. It's this huge novel about New York and everything. But the beginning of the book and kind of the inciting incident of the book is the shot heard around the world. Bobby Thompson. This, I think it was the New York Giants versus, was it the Dodgers? I think it was maybe the Dodgers. And it was like what? The Giants had come back. They were 3 games down with 3 games to play in the season. They barely made it into the fucking playoffs. I don't know if they were losing or what, but Bobby Thompson hit this home run. They called it the shot heard around the world, right? And the shot heard around the world was like this, it was on the radio, it was early television. And so it just like, it lit the city on fire back in an era where like, there was more of like a street culture, people on their stoops, kids playing stickball, and this is something DeLillo talks about in the book is like, it was the last event he remembers where like people went outside of their houses. They had, this incredible miracle of sports had happened. People had so much energy that they went out into the streets. It wasn't like every other sporting milestone or memorable thing that has happened basically since then, where it's on TV, so everybody's experiencing it in their house, or it's less this kind of like public uh, spectacle ceremony of like gathering, community, jubilation. The shot heard around the world was like the last of like the neighborhood culture of like people hanging out on stoops before everybody got sucked into their own home watching TV, which is basically what's happened, since the 50s. And that's kind of how the game on Wednesday felt, where it was just like, holy shit, they pulled off this fucking sports miracle. I mean, how many times do you have that in your life? Maybe at tops, once every few years. I mean, to be fair, like it does happen more often than you think in sports. Like the Miracle on Ice, 1980. What the Seahawks came back from being down like 27-3 in the Super Bowl. There's been a few Super Bowl things where like the teams came back, or there were kind of these crazy reversals of fortune or whatever. And that's sort of why we watch sports, is for like Kirk Gibson, right? Hitting a walk-off home run in the fucking World Series. It happens more often than you'd think. And in some senses, I feel like sports is designed to sort of create these like once in a lifetime moments. That's part of the appeal. Is just like you watch in hopes that something like that may occur eventually. Sports magic, and it does happen. Maybe it was fixed. Paul Heyman said it was fixed. The Heyman hustle thought the game was fixed, but who knows? They did a good job fixing it if it was fixed, but in any case, I did feel a little bit of FOMO because the open mic was Monday and then the game was Wednesday, and it was like it wasn't going to decide the series. So I just thought, how exciting could it be? Well, that's how exciting it was. It was this incredible. And so you see all these videos the next day of just like people in the streets going fucking ape shit everywhere. And you're like, fuck. And people talking about, oh my God, it was one of the greatest nights of my life, one of the greatest nights in New York City history, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, it sucks to kind of feel like you missed out on it. So Saturday, I was like, I'm not going to miss out on this time. I'm going to be out on the streets no matter, it's Saturday night, like everybody's going to be out. People are, you know, we really want this team to win. The Knicks is one of the greatest franchises in sports. It's really a shame that they've sucked for as long as they have. And so, you knew when they won, it was going to be like, you know, orgasmic. It was going to be special. It was going to be a gusher, you know? It was going to be like a big release for people. And, I got to give it to the native New Yorkers because they really do deserve it. People do love basketball in this town. They deserve to have a good team.
They deserve to have the Knicks be good. There's no reason the Knicks should be a fucking bad team. There's got to be so much brand equity. The Knicks that's got to be such a valuable franchise that there's no reason for them to be as bad as they are. Like, look at Spike Lee, man. It's like this dude has been literally going to games for what, like 50 fucking years or something. Like, he doesn't get the free tickets like the other celebrities because he doesn't like James Dolan. He pays for his tickets. So good on Spike Lee. And the other celebrities get them for free. So anyway, Saturday, my plan was to just like sort of like rove. I was going to be like a roving kind of observer through Lower Manhattan, just checking out all of the various kind of like watch parties, different scenes and stuff. And so I thought I would start like in the East Village because you can't go wrong, I guess, or that's what I thought. But it ended up. Well, I was already in the East Village because I was doing that scavenger hunt thing. So it's like I was parked out front St. Mark's Church, where I got fired for my poetry job. Now I'm writing poems. So I was already in the East Village. So I was like, okay, I'll start here and then I'll kind of work my way. I was like going to go through Soho to the West Village. And I ended up just staying because the game went way faster than I thought it would. And, there was a crowd. It was exciting. There was people out. Everybody was wearing Knicks stuff. People were stoked about it. So I was afraid I was going to get caught. If I tried to go someplace else, I thought I'd just end up on some kind of desolate stretch where there was nobody and, I'd miss something in the game or, uh, why do people even fucking tune into this? Like, it drives me insane to see people tune into this for like 5 seconds, be like, oh, this sucks, and then leave. Like, just fuck off. Don't even watch it then. Like, what could I possibly do? Well, there's nobody more interesting than me doing this. I guarantee you. Like, I know that sounds arrogant to say, but like, I guarantee you there's nobody saying more thoughtful, interesting shit on a live stream than me. I'm sorry. That's just a fact. Like these people that have huge audiences are like fucking stupid as shit. But nobody ever went broke underestimating the intelligence of the fucking audience. So I did go broke overestimating their intelligence. I'm the opposite of that rule. Matt Proctor went broke trying to appeal to the intelligence of the audience. There isn't any. It was also the day. It was also the Del Close Marathon this weekend. When I was walking to my station in the East Village, I saw these people lined out in front of the UCB theater. I think they raised their prices a bunch. It's not like it was. It used to be. I think you could get a pass to the whole fucking thing for like what, $20 or something. Maybe I don't remember how much it was, but I did go to the Del Close Marathon like a couple times. Maybe did I just go once? I feel like I went a couple times. Like in 2012, I think I went. Maybe it was 2011. I'm glad that they brought it back. It's like it is a cool. I mean, UCB they just killed that place. It kind of got too woke and it's just kind of obnoxious. I don't really go there anymore. I kind of am out of the improv world. It's just kind of a stupid thing to be honest. And it's just like it's no fun anymore. But I'm glad they brought it back and there were people lined up to get into the fucking events and shit. It's a shame they had to get rid of that theater on Avenue A. So anyway, I was standing out front of St. Dymphna's watching through the fucking window. because there were just people everywhere watching this game. And New York is like this beast. That's what I think you really saw Saturday night, was just like how powerful this place really is and how many people really are here and what it's capable of. And in fact, I do think and I hope that people look at this event as like an example going forward for like a positive spirit of like communal gathering. Like one of the best parts of New York is like there are constantly protests and marches and like activism, Occupy Wall Street, whatever it is. Like if Trump got elected, bam, it's like literally that night we're at Trump Tower protesting, and walking through the streets. And there's tons and tons of Central Park, it's like they can have 50,000 fucking people or something at a concert. Like it's beautiful to see the public manifest in that way and community kind of manifest in that way. And but when I ran into Jack on Avenue A of all people. I was just like I said, I was just kind of roving around. And the idea was I was just going to check out different areas and just see scenes from the night, scenes from this moment in New York history, and just kind of try to suss out whatever the best post was. And I ended up just being kind of on Avenue A and St. Mark's Place because there was just shitload of people on St. Mark's Place. And you know, when they won, and maybe even before that, like, yeah, I ran into Jack of all people on Avenue A. He didn't want to watch the game. He was looking for a bar where they weren't showing it. So, uh, I was kind of in like observer mode. I wasn't really trying to hang out, I guess, with anybody. Ironically, because that's what everybody else does at times like that, I guess. But in any case, uh, as I'm looking around the East Village, I'm just like, who the fuck are these people? It literally felt like a fraternity party. And I mean that literally. Like at Ohio State, there's a certain type of person that's like a frat. It's like the way they're kind of ugly, they're kind of fat, but like they're cocky, they're assholes. Like they're just not. I mean, they're dicks. It goes beyond cocky. Like they're just like these fucking beer drinking, cake stand, fucking backward hat douchebags and sorority chicks. And as I'm looking around, like the East Village and all the people watching this game, I'm like, these are all frat dudes and sorority women. Like New York has become this giant college town or something. It's like every fucking lame ass Republican white fuckface from every university in the country comes to, and they all live in Manhattan somehow. They all live in the East Village. It's sort of like that penny arcade thing. It's like you move to New York to get away from these people. You move to New York to get away from like the fraternity, judgmental, like homophobic normies. And like they've taken over. They've taken over the West Village. They've taken over the East Village. And it's like the new fucking, campus. They have a bad skin, bad hair, backwards baseball hats. They're all fucking drinkers, like, and so, in a weird way, I feel like New York has the last few years, like every fucking jock from the whole goddamn country has moved here, and so it's like primed for this moment. It's primed for people to like celebrate this like championship sports thing. And like, I like that for New York. I do like, I have a soft spot for this kind of legacy media shit, the Yankees, whatever it is, the Knicks. And like I said, the local people I think are really genuine and cool about it. Like black people from fucking Brooklyn and people from the Bronx, Hispanic people, whatever, like they deserve this. Like the peripheral kind of outer borough people, like they deserve this. But then to see this core of like the marshmallow white fucking frat bros that are they're all wearing Nick stuff and like they're walking down the street drinking paper bags of like fucking, tall boys and they're acting like there's some diehard Knicks fan that's like lived here their whole life. It's like you probably moved here in the last fucking 3 years, and you're acting like this is some huge fucking achievement for you. It's just like you brought your rabid kind of sports fandom from whatever shitty college you went to, Penn State or USC or whatever the fuck it is. Everybody's from some shitty fucking, myself included. I went to the biggest, shittiest state school of them all, the Ohio State University. I'm ashamed to say, and so I recognize these people. I recognize the mentality. And 50 years ago, all of the outer borough Knicks fans would have been robbing these white people and scaring them out. They wouldn't live here because it was a scary, crime-ridden place. But now it's like they own all the good shit. They're all in the East Village. They're all in the West Village. The worst fucking people alive. If you want to see the worst people in the world, just walk down Hudson in the East Village. Like today, I was walking by Le Dive on 7th Avenue. I'm like, these are the worst fucking people alive. They're young children of Fox News parents. They're fat, beer drinking, mean, mean. You know, I saw multiple people with golf clubs today. I saw a guy in the fucking subway carrying a golf bag. It's like, get the fuck out of Manhattan, you cocksucker. There should be an artist living in your apartment. But they're all finance bros. They're all fucking, work for Goldman. Or who the fuck knows? Merrill Lynch. Why even? I mean, nobody's even watching this. Why should it even go on? So anyway, you know, as soon as they won the place, and every fucking point they scored, they were down by a bunch of points, but every time they scored a point, you could hear the whole fucking city roar. You could hear everybody go, yeah! It wasn't just like, in Ohio State, it's like your own house, maybe some of the neighbors. Like New York, it was just like literally every fucking where you go, every bar is full of people. They're all watching on projectors. They're all, it's like, and every fucking point you could hear the whole fucking city cheering. Like, that's pretty amazing. I've never experienced anything like that. And, it's a fucking shame that this is what people care about. So the Knicks won, the whole city fucking explodes. Everybody's out on the street looking for the action. Everybody's looking for the heart of Saturday night. They're all trying to find the golden ticket. They're not making it for themselves. They want to be a part of something. That's why there's all these lines and shit now in New York, because like everybody like wants to be a part of where the action is, but they don't know how to make it. They don't want to. There are people trying to make it, artists and shit like that, but like all of these like normie transplant people from like big fucking marketing, finance, whatever, MBA, business fucking dumbasses, like they are not cool people. They're not fun. They're judgmental. They're mean. They're not creative. They're brutal. They're animals, and they're just normies. But they know that historically New York is where the action is, and now they've just bought it. They just bought the whole thing and kind of killed what was cool about it. and turn it into this like suburban, like meat market for people to just sort of like get their rocks off while they're, in their 20s or whatever. And so it is, because like as soon as the game was over, I go on to St. Mark's Place and the entire fucking street is like packed. There's probably thousands of people in this street and people climbing up on scaffolding. There's 50 people on like this fucking scaffolding. I'm like, this is this fucking scaffolding gonna fall down and like crush all these people? Like, there's guys climbing into trees and shit. I thought for sure I'd see somebody fall out of a tree. I thought definitely somebody's gonna get crippled. And they're getting up on people's cars and shit, rocking the cars. And I'm like, this is what people are like. This is what it takes to get people on the street, like gathering in public, is like a stupid fucking sports thing. Like nothing against the Knicks, nothing against whatever's this, but I'm all for it. I'm glad they won. I feel cool to be a part of it. I'm glad I could be a part of it. I'm glad I could help. But I'm also like, why don't we not have the same energy for like political shit? Why aren't people taking to the streets with the same fucking fervor and energy that they're doing for this stupid fucking basketball game? It's like Donald Trump has been the goddamn president, for almost 2 years. He's totally fucked our whole shit up, and no one's doing shit. Yes, people protest now and then, the No Kings protest or whatever, but like not like this. It's like literally, it was like it felt like Armistice Day or something. It's just like the whole fucking city is just erupted. The streets are fucking packed with people partying, but it's just like they're the least interesting people on earth. They came here as sports fans. That's all they have in their life. Like they're not interesting, creative people. Their souls are completely shut down. They replaced all the artists. They displaced all the artists and all the actual interesting people, all the gay people, all the queer people, all the poor people. They're all gone. All the minorities. The East Village is so white now. It's fucking crazy. It's like being on an Ohio State University campus. It's like a big beer pong fucking party. And so I'm just, that's what I was sitting when I'm looking or thinking when I'm looking around at all this. I'm like, this is the hypnosis. This is how they've got our society turned upside down. People are rabid for the bread and circuses. They want to see sports, 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 sports. It's like this. These are the communal rituals that we're trained to like be obsessed with. The Super Bowl, Travis and Taylor, whatever the hell it is. And yet we're discouraged. People don't want to think about politics. They don't want to talk about politics. They don't want to be political. They hate the government. They hate politicians. It's like they don't want to protest. They think people that are protesting are like wasting their time or dumb or uh and yet they go ape shit for this completely pointless game that like has doesn't really have any effect on anything, doesn't mean anything. Probably is some kind of subconscious brainwashing for God knows what, some kind of race agenda or something. I mean, what is the NBA really for? What is the psyop here? Because it's working. I mean, look how fucking stoked people are for this, and yet you can't get them to give a fuck about what's going on with our government or how we're getting fucked or any of that shit. It's like they don't care. They don't even want to know about it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to think about it. It just ruins the party if you bring it up.
and yet they're obsessed with this stupid game that like doesn't really mean shit. It's just about who's the tallest person, basically. And I'm not like a huge basketball. I didn't, to be honest, I didn't watch really any of the games. I think I watched maybe like total of 1.5 plays the entire series. Uh and so it was a little bit infuriating to like look around St. Mark's Place, and it's just like this could have been OU Halloween. It's the same fucking people, same energy. It's like this, thoroughfare, jam packed. What is it? Court Street in Athens, Ohio. I went to OU for a year. OU Halloween is like supposedly one of the biggest parties in the country every year. 60,000 people or something. They probably claim it's a lot bigger, or they claim it's a bigger deal than it actually is. Because it's Ohio, so it's like nothing is really a big deal. But they have to act like, oh, it's one of the biggest fucking parties in the United States. Like, probably not. But I mean, this dwarfs that. The whole fucking city is Court Street, 42nd Street. People are lighting buses on fire. Fucking Sheridan Square is like packed with people. It's wall to wall people. It's like it is this crazy beast. Just seeing New York City come alive. New York is almost like this big sea monster. It's one organism, this big alive. The subways are like these flailing tentacles, and the whole city was just breathing and moving and gesticulating yesterday. The whole city is gesturing and shifting, and you really could feel like the bioorganism. And seeing that, I think, for people is important. It's a reflection that, like, look at how many of this there are. Look at how many people there are. We are the 99% or whatever. And it's like, Jesus Christ, like, if we ever were able to actually organize and get people focused on something that actually fucking matters, maybe we could get rid of some of these goddamn rich assholes and make some positive changes. But it takes something stupid. That's the point of these sports. They're designed to hypnotize people away from shit that actually matters. It's bred in circuses. And New York it's a sports town, but like all of these new transplants like are like big time sports people. They're fucking, that's their life from their fucking this is how it is in Ohio, where I'm from. It's like that's the only fucking thing people care about is like Ohio State football and just the dumbest shit that like is really inconsequential and like a waste of fucking time, frankly. Watching a bunch of kids fucking play a game, like get a life. Like who cares? A bunch of fucking 25 year olds like trying to throw a ball in a basket, like what a waste of fucking time. Me, I was there more for the party. I was there like a lot of things to just sort of be an observer and it was definitely incredible, but I was in the wrong part of town because uh after that I walked down through the Lower East Side to Dime Square, which is really Chinatown. Oh yeah, Davis Eye Care. This is where I went to the doctor on went Thursday. Really good job. They did a great job. Davis Eye Care. It was quick. It was professional. I got new glasses, my new Medicaid glasses. So get ready for those. In 2 weeks, I'll have new glasses. I like these ones. I mean, I do think these are good for me, but we'll see how you like the new ones. So then I walk down to Dime Square, and it's like a whole different crowd. It's like a bunch of fucking people smoking who like think they're super chic.
It's kind of like art kids, but they're all into goddamn basketball too. There's fucking trash everywhere, broken bottles everywhere, people jumping on cars. Anybody who would bring their car into Manhattan last night is like, I'm sorry, but like, what did you expect? To be fair, this happens everywhere they win a championship. Maybe not every, but a lot. Like Ohio State, when Ohio State won the national championship, same shit. People breaking shit, lighting shit on fire, turning cars over. This is why sports is like a negative, dark energy because like it encourages when they win. What do? They go out and destroy property. It's like Woodstock '99. It's like people breaking shit, lighting shit on fire, turning cars over, busting up yellow cabs, destroying school buses. Like, it's a violent, drunken fucking pastime. All these sports are like, they're encouraged. That's half the point is to sell fucking drinks, to sell alcohol. And so it's a lot of anger. It's a lot of, but it's also kind of testosterone, right? It's something guys can get excited about. Guys can yell about it. "Rah, we fucking won, yeah." It's like you had nothing to do with it. You were sitting on your ass drinking beer. You're not a part of this. You spent $50 on a fucking jersey. These people have no idea who you are. Why don't you go out and do something like creative on your own rather than live vicariously through a bunch of fucking 28-year-olds who like are genetic freaks? Like, if that's what you're doing with your life is like watching other people play sports, I don't know. There's better shit to do. I don't know. I mean, they have their place, but especially in America, I feel like we're way too focused on the stuff. And our sports are used to sort of like cultivate. It's all brainwashing. It's all a psyop. It's a crypto fascist metaphor for nuclear war. Football is designed to prepare people for war. Basketball is designed, I don't know, to prepare people for like employment or something, manual labor. I don't even know. Being a team player. Uh, so, I grew up around it. You can't grow up in Ohio and like not learn. You'll get killed. If you don't know anything about sports, they will kill you. They'll beat you to death because you're a faggot. Okay. Unless you know everything there is to know about. And, I like sports to some degree. Like I followed it a little bit. Like, I don't watch it in my free time. There's definitely a million more important things to do. But, if a team that I live nearby or like I'm a fan of is doing well, like I will watch. Like when the Cavs won the championship in what was that, 2016 or was that 2017? I think it was 2017. Watch my vlog. I was there when it happened. I was watching it with Eric, another Ohioan, because it's like that was a big deal to us. Cleveland had not won a fucking championship like ever, I don't think, in basketball. And so they came back from 3-1, didn't they? And do I watch like every fucking regular season NBA game? Like fuck no. Who does? I mean, some people it's a part of their lives. Spike Lee, my cousin like watches every single Cubs game on TV. Like literally every single game. It's like, how the fuck do you have a life where you can even do this? Like, don't you have to go to work or something? Like, you're gonna watch there's 162 games. Like, that's a huge fucking commitment. I mean, I don't know. It's nice. Baseball is nice. Baseball is kind of a genteel slow game. I like that. I like soccer. It's most American sports that are more popular are like UFC and shit. It has to have violence in it, or else people don't want to watch it. Me, I'm more for the gentle things. I like baseball. I like professional wrestling. I like choreography. I like ballet, you know? The NBA is almost like watching a bunch of guys in prison yard or something. And there's weird racial layers to it as well that I won't. I mean, James Dolan is a white guy who owns the team, and he just seems like Django Unchained or something. He's trying to punish his players. But in any case, when I walk down a Dining Square, I'm like, fuck, okay, well, these people are all pseudo cool. I should have been down here the whole time. It was just pissing me off being in the East Village. I'm like, who the fuck are all these jocks? All these beer drinking assholes in the East Village? Like, what the fuck? Is this just New York now? It's like every like spoiled white kid from the whole fucking country. Like, we hate these people. We fucking hate them. And they've hijacked all of Manhattan or, downtown Manhattan. But it was still a sight to see and cool to be a part of. Like I said, I was sober, so I was just kind of walking around quietly by myself, observing, taking it all in. But it's frustrating because like people seem so fucking invested and passionate about this. I hope it, people are giving Mamdani a lot of credit. They're like, oh yeah, Mamdani is fucking elect a socialist mayor. Next thing it's like, well, did he really have anything to do with it? Like, not really. He's a fucking mayor. He doesn't really have anything to do with goddamn NBA finals, but uh I don't know. If this gives people some inkling of like the power of like crowds and humanity. Like I said, it sort of felt like the George Floyd protests in a way, because like that was the last sort of demonstration of like the potency of like organization. And like last night was a kind of organization. I mean, it was around this totally stupid or not really that consequential thing. It's like a distraction from things that are actually important. But it also brings people together. It gives people something to mutually feel good about, which I think is nice. The transplants and the fucking natives and the fucking, state school Republican beer drinking fuck faces. Everybody could get behind this great feeling and this celebration and this kind of miracle. And it is kind of indicative of the fortunes of New York and the consequences of making bad decisions. It's like the whole rest of our country is kind of going down the fucking toilet. And New York has got the mandate of heaven. We got Mamdani. We got fucking NBA championship Knicks. It's like things are going pretty well here. The rest of the country's going down, but New York's kind of, it's like that. Yeah, that's why we're fucking here. I moved here specifically because of that. I moved here to get away from car culture, dumbass, fucking brutal sports culture, war culture, Republican right wing idiots everywhere, Christian conservative idiots everywhere. A lot of these states, you can't even get a fucking abortion anymore legally. How fucking backwards is that? So the whole country's going to hell in a handbasket, but New York is, because it's brain drain. Anybody with any fucking sense is like, wherever they're from, they're like, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of this stupid fucking shitty car centric place where gas is $5 a gallon because of this stupid war. So, the only place to go is New York right now, because it's the only place that it actually has a sensible infrastructure. You don't need a fucking car. In fact, it's a car deterrent. You're way better off without one. So New York is based on these kind of like centuries old cultivated ways of life, walking, community, kind of mixed use zoning. It's not a fucking suburb like every other fucking place in this whole stupid shitty country. If New York just became its own country, it might not be a bad idea, to be honest. Like, America is a really beautiful landscape, but what they have done to the cities over the last 70 years is a fucking disgrace. The way that they just destroyed all of the fucking beauty and functionality of all of the major cities and turned them into these big freeway parking lot, pay $1 billion tax break to build some stupid fucking stadium right in the middle of it to distract people. Every fucking city in this country is the same, basically. Columbus, Louisville, you know, Nashville, Kansas City, Oklahoma City. They're all practically the same place. There are little differences. There's a little bit of local inflection and a little bit of idiosyncrasy, but like on the whole, it's just one big car park, that you fly, and it's like it just sucks. I don't really want to live in any of them except New York. It's like there's a famous Tennessee Williams quote: "The only real cities in the United States are San Francisco, New Orleans, and New York. Every place else is Cleveland," I think he says, which is basically true because they tore out all of the interesting downtowns and all of the walkability to build freeways. They did what Robert Moses was trying to do here. But thankfully, the people here were smart enough to stop Robert Moses from ripping out Greenwich Village, which is ironic because that's what Robert Moses wanted to do. He wanted to literally rip out the most functional, beautiful infrastructure in the whole goddamn country, the Greenwich Village, which is the most human metropolitan area really in any major city in this country because it's walkable, it's mixed use. He wanted to put a fucking expressway through it so you could drive faster from New Jersey to Long Island. Thank God he didn't get away with it. And now it's the most expensive real estate in the whole fucking country because all these normie douchebags from Penn State want to move there because it's actually a great place to live because you don't need a fucking car and it's not just a big drive through like every other fucking place in this country. And that's why I won't live there. I don't want to live in fucking LA. I don't want to be in a car all the fucking time. I don't want to live in Columbus, Ohio, which is just a bunch of fucking suburbs in a trench coat. Fuck that. It's dehumanizing. It creates distance between people. This is a big reason why we have a lot of the problems we have in our society because people are separated because of suburban lifestyle. I lived in the suburb when I was in seventh, eighth, ninth grade. And even then I knew it was fucking a shithole in a soul sucking place. These are the circumstances that create all these school shooters and shit. Because there is no neighborhood. There is no community. It's just totally isolated. You're meant to just drive your car, go to work, and buy shit. And that's it. They don't want you to have any friends. They don't want you to have any community or creativity. They just want you to go to the fucking mall. In New York, there's still some sense that you can have like a really nice. That's why people move here because it reminds them of like their college life where like they had friends, they'd walk over to their friend's house, they could walk around campus, go get food late at night, whatever. New York is just like it's the way that cities are meant to be. And I don't, it's going to take a generation or two to get that back in the rest of the country. And I'm doubtful that it'll ever happen because people seem more focused on building self-driving fucking cars than actually like fixing the problem, which is like you shouldn't ever even have to get in a car. Me, I love just being able to walk everywhere. I walk from my apartment to the subway, get on the subway. There's other people in the subway. And this is something I saw in a discussion. Why are there no major red cities? All the cities are blue or whatever. It's like, well, living in a city, you realize that we're all interrelated and we're all interdependent. Something like last night, people from all walks of life, douchebag frat bros, Dominican guys from fucking Canarsie, whatever the hell it is, Puerto Ricans, People from Africa, Asians, just like every rich people, poor people, homeless people, fucking gay people, whatever. Everybody is in the same goddamn subway car. In most of America, people have their own little suit of armor, their own car. They're all driving by themselves in cars that weigh 2,000 fucking pounds and like burn gasoline 20 miles per gallon. It's completely an oil lobby racket. This whole fucking country is an oil lobby racket. They have created a system where you have to have a car or else you're just a fucking nobody, loser. You cannot have a real life in basically anywhere in this fucking country except New York, unless you have a car. People in New York don't even know how to drive. Most New Yorkers do not even have licenses. They don't know how to drive. Whereas like everybody else in the country is getting DUIs and shit because they don't have a choice. It's like you got to get a car to go 5 minutes to the grocery store. You can't just walk to the bodega. That does not exist. A lot of these suburbs and shit don't even have sidewalks. When I lived in Hilliard, Gulfview Woods, it was rare to see another human being outside of their house. It just didn't happen. Like the only people that were like outside were like us and our neighbors, and like everybody thought we were fucking crazy. It's like, what are these people doing? Like listening to music and like having a barbecue? Like, what the fuck? Go back in your house and like watch TV and play video games and like. So people in the cities, understand that we're all interrelated. This myth of self reliance, people are self created. It's a lot easier to believe when you live out in the country somewhere, you never even see any other fucking people, or a suburb where you barely interact with your neighbors. You don't even know who the fuck they are. Everybody just drives everywhere. They drive to work, they drive home. That's it. It's like, that's not a life. You were like a husk of a gray ghost living out there. Um, and yet people pay shitloads of money. There's less vacancy than ever in New York because people want to be a part of a community like that, like this pulsating crowd of humanity. Like it just pours out in the city. The city is designed to contain that. And so I would say, the sooner and the more we can create those kind of moments, the better. These moments where just like the whole city pours into the streets together, something they can be united by, right? I mean, especially now. Our country there's just divisions being wedged between every fucking buddy. So, this is probably one of the few examples where just like everybody in the city, regardless of what your political beliefs are, your sexual orientation, how you identify your gender, everybody was fucking stoked about this. Everybody was celebrating and united by it. It sucks that it's a dumb sports thing, but I imagine there'll be like this. To be honest, when Trump dies, it probably won't be as big of a celebration. There are probably a lot of people that like are not going to celebrate, but this is probably the closest thing we've had yet. This could be a great summer. First, the Knicks win, and then Trump's going to die. Any day now, he's going to croak. So New York is just, I mean, let's just turn the city into a block party the whole summer. Let's just have it just be a big fucking block. Why not? I think people hopefully saw what happened this week and with this NBA Finals, where just like everybody was in their neighborhood watching the game projected on some bodega or on some building outside. Everybody's in the streets. I'm a poet of the streets. This is what the streets are about. They're about bringing people together, unity, community. vibing, you know, pinging off each other, feeling each other's vibrations, coming together. You know, it's like the American people might be so fucking stupid at this point that sports are the only thing that can bring us together because they are devoid of like intellectual content or like political content. They're not really any division in sports is just like a scrimmage. It's not real. You know, like well, you may have gone to Michigan, I may have gone to Ohio State, but like that's like a mock disagreement. It doesn't really have any kind of like real world ramifications. Whereas like if you're a Trumper and I'm a fucking, you know, libtard, it's like I'm gonna fucking go no contact with you, and it might even cause a civil war or something because there's so much fucking division. So you know, if this is what it takes, even the hipsters are like down. Even the hipsters are like, fuck yeah, it's New York, it's the Knicks. You know, it's a legacy media property. It's like being able to participate in some kind of prestigious New York history. You know, there isn't a lot of that left. All of the real artists have been displaced. All of the native people are being pushed out, priced out. All of the interesting, cool people are being pushed out, priced out. And so there's less and less actually like contemporary, like it's all just like Taylor Swift and shit. It's like a bunch of sandbagging suburban bullshit. You know, like there's no Basquiat, there's no Rene Ricard, there's no fucking New York School, there's no Velvet Underground. There's that's all in the past. You know, New York's heyday is kind of over. New York being the capital of the world and this kind of like artistic juggernaut is over. Like significant artists still come here, but like it's not. You know who's making work on that level? Matthew Gazda. I don't fucking think so. You know where's the Arthur Miller? Where's the fucking Elia Kazan? You know where's the Pacino? Where's the De Niro? Where's it's like they're not. There isn't any. It's like New York. Everybody's either doing some kind of tech stupid bullshit or like they just can't even afford to live here, or their parents are paying for everything, and like they're not really interesting people. They've never had to earn anything. They don't really have any fucking perspective on anything, and so our whole culture is suffering. You know, there's no fucking good music. There's no good anything. It all sucks. There's no good writing. There's no good movies. It's all shit. And yet we're living in the shadow of like these unbelievable, you know, all those people I just mentioned, the Velvet Underground, fucking Patti Smith, whatever it is. You know, it's like New York, yes, you just to churn these people out. And now it's like there's no circumstances for that. No one has time or peace of mind or space or boredom. It's just like everybody is on their phone all the fucking time, or, you know, their mommy and daddy are paying for their meal at Balthazar in their apartment near Elizabeth Street Garden or whatever. Not that that necessarily disqualifies you from being a good artist, but all of the people who are like working class are disqualified. It's no longer possible really to move here and sort of work your way up and create something lasting because you just have to hustle so fucking hard to make because the rent is so fucking expensive. Let me read this article about housing unaffordability because I did think it was a pretty good commentary about this. Uh, okay, it's called Housing Expert Challenges YIMBY Consensus. Upzoning, more housing, and less regulation won't solve the housing crisis. You know, this is something everybody tells you is more housing, more housing. It's a supply and demand problem. And this was the first article I saw that sort of addresses that. It is not a supply and demand problem. The problem is they're building apartments that are expensive. You know, they might be building new apartments, but they're not building cheap apartments. Okay, pundits and policymakers agree New York City's housing crisis will disappear if we do what they deem obvious build more housing and cut the regulatory red tape that hampers development.
But this supposedly obvious solution is wrong, said city planner and author Alan Malik, speaking at a May 12th online forum co sponsored by Village Preservation, the local historic preservation club and group, and the City Club, the civic organization devoted to good government and land use policy, asserting that the affordability crisis is a crisis of the poor and near poor. Malik contended that the vast majority of people who are paying over half their income in rent in New York City earn under $40,000 a year in gross income. Malik characterized low wages as a pernicious part of New York City's economic reality and low income as a housing obstacle impervious to deregulation or increases in housing supply. Okay? Low wages and low income are an obstacle impervious to deregulation or increases in housing supply. So the problem is not that there's not enough supply. The problem is people do not make enough money because their wages are too low, because they're getting fucked by the Epstein class. Elon Musk has $1 trillion. All of these billionaires, what is it, like 10 people have as much money as the bottom 50%? That is the fucking problem. All of that $1 trillion should be in the pockets of all of us, but it's being hoarded by this guy who can't even fucking possibly spend it. And so this is one reason why people can't afford a place to live or a nice lifestyle, because all of the money is being sopped up by very, 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 very extremely few people who are incredibly malicious and hate us. There's a systemic gap, he said, between what it costs to provide a housing unit and what a poor or near poor person can afford. According to the Rent Guidelines Board, a modest Bronx one bedroom and a multifamily unit costs a landlord $1,200 a month in maintenance, operating fees, and insurance. Perhaps $2,000 a month if the landlord seeks to recoup a $100,000 investment in the unit. No increase in supply or deregulation will spur the sudden availability of apartments within reach for, say, a single mom who earns $20 an hour or $30,000 a year. For her, Malik observed, an affordable apartment costing 30% of her income would rent at $750 a month, far less than even the break even point for a typical landlord. Yet, an apartment that was $750 a month was pretty typical in this country until about 5 years ago. It is simply impossible to push rents down low enough to where they'll be affordable to people earning $30,000 a year without essentially forcing the landlords into bankruptcy, he observed, noting that the only feasible long term response is public subsidy from the federal government. Public subsidy from the federal government. That's what I said they should do. Supposedly, there's like thousands of rent stabilized units in the city that are empty because it would cost more money for the landlords to repair them than they could. They wouldn't make any money. You know, they couldn't possibly charge enough because they're rent stabilized to break even, and so they just leave these apartments empty because it's too expensive to repair them, make them livable. The government should step in. Rather than build a bunch of new shit, the government should step in and pay to fix these places up and do whatever they can with regulation, rent control to make them $750 a month, rather than just leave it empty and not making any money. You know, the government should step in and make up the difference. You know, because they're good apartments, it's a good stock. It's good housing supply. It's well made, not like this new shit. You know, if the landlord needs 2 grand a month, let some let the normal person pay 750 and have the government step in. I mean, the government's been so much fucking money wasting on so many other programs. These housing lotteries and shit are ridiculous. Like you'll win like affordable housing. It's like, well, it's 3 grand a month. It's like, pff, that's not affordable housing. Malik distinguished the rent burden endured by low income New Yorkers from the costs experienced by those who are higher income. Let's say you're a single person earning $100,000 and paying 50% of your income for rent. You're not going to live like Jeff Bezos with that, but you can manage quite comfortably. He contrasted that to the single mom with a $30,000 income left with $15,000 to cover her family expenses if she pays half her income in rent. And even that would be very low. $15,000 would be like a little over $1,000 a month, which almost no one is paying. Certainly not to live alone, or certainly not with a family. There's a totally different reality. I don't think people acknowledge that reality. No shortfall in New York City units. Malik questioned the conventional wisdom that city population keeps vastly outstripping housing supply, noting that between 2010 and 2024, the city added 340,000 households and about 325,000 housing units. That's just the last 15 years. He described the difference as a rounding error in the city's housing market, which encompasses millions of units. But he did identify a regional shortfall. In other urban areas such as Austin and Minneapolis, where there's been a great influx of people and jobs, housing prices have stayed relatively low because those areas have huge amounts of suburban housing production acting as a safety valve for city demand. So people are constantly moving to the suburbs. There is virtually no housing production going on in Long Island, Westchester, or Rockland. The city, Malik suggested, is expected to bear the entire regional burden itself. He also noted that the perception of a housing crisis is made worse by the lack of turnover of relatively inexpensive apartments. Though statistics say the city has many apartments priced at less than $2,000 a month, renters don't give them up. There is a problem, but building $4,000 a month units is not going to solve it. Preserving the older buildings won't solve it, but at least it will keep from getting worse. Building $4,000 units is not going to solve it. That's what they're doing everywhere. All of these new fucking builds, like this place, are not affordable to the people in the neighborhood who grew up here. They're affordable to transplant white people whose parents watch Fox News and are Reaganites and venture capitalists and all of this shit. Those are the people who can afford it. You know, people who have boomer parents that are selfish fucking pricks who pay for everything. So you have a city full of spoiled, entitled pieces of shit. The downsides of upzoning. Village Preservation Executive Director Andrew Berman described recent upzoning initiatives as decreasing affordability, although promoted as affordability measures. He observed that none contain explicit requirements for building affordable housing. And by allowing dramatically increased density, these upzonings instead encourage the demolition of less dense, naturally occurring affordable housing. And they drive up the cost, they drive up the real estate value. Malik added that the vastly increased density allowed, tall, skinny towers approved and encouraged via a new floor to area ratio, or FAR, actually creates disincentives for affordable housing or reasonably priced market rate housing by greatly increasing the price of the underlying land, right? The real estate value. That's why they build this shit. They don't give a fuck if anybody rents it. They want to increase the real estate value because that's where they park their money because they have way too much of it. This money, rather than circulating amongst the working people, just these people have so much of it they don't know what to fucking do with it. And so they buy shit like this. They buy these investment properties for their kids and they need it to be expensive because they don't want a bunch of poor people living there. They don't want to build affordable housing. It's not designed to be functional or solve the problem that they're talking about. Increasing supply. I'm just so sick of this fucking free market bullshit you hear everywhere about supply and demand. It's like we know it's a fucking lie that they tell us to raise the price of everything. It's like this is the fucking problem. He also noted that in a city like New York, in order to build something new, you have to take something out. And typically, what's taken out is significantly more affordable than new construction. Malik gave an example, a hypothetical Bronx building with 50 units renting at $1,500 a month being replaced by a tower with 250 units renting for $3,000 to $4,000 a month. A big increase in supply with a apparent decrease in affordability. So you're increasing the supply and the price is still going up because they're building shit for rich people and they're kicking out all the fucking poor people. Criticizing YIMBY, Yes in My Backyard, or pro development and anti regulation proponents as deliberately obtuse, Malik castigated their single minded attempt to use zoning as an engine of development. Housing is not simply a matter of popping down dwelling units. Each time you build a housing development, he declared, you are affecting a larger, complex urban environment. If you don't use zoning as a tool to create a healthy urban environment, you're misusing it. The discussion cracks in the YIMBY consensus. Why can't we upzone our way out of the affordability crisis? Was moderated by Village Preservation Special Projects Director Juan Rivera. It is the first in a planned series of online blah blah blah. Okay, you can watch it on YouTube. It's on the Village Preservation's YouTube channel. I also wanted to talk about because this whole issue is about housing affordability, which in the West Village is, obviously a big problem. But it was talking about they have all these fucking buildings that they're townhouses that have been combined. Here they are, tear downs, tax the tear downs. This is like some guy bought two, you know, townhouses next to each other. I've talked about this on my live stream before. 20 people could live in these houses. You could have families. You could have 40 fucking people live in these houses. Instead, one guy bought them, combined them, gut renovated them into a mega mansion. So they said 93,000 fucking. Let me just read. New York City has lost at least 9,300 housing units to similar conversions. So if you want to talk about supply and demand, this shit, more and more you see it in the West Village. There's some guy, some dickhead on West 4th Street and 11th Street. He literally bought, it's probably fucking Peter Thiel or somebody. He literally bought three fucking townhouses next to each other, combined all of them and turned them into one huge, I think it's one of the biggest residences in downtown Manhattan. It's like that's one fucking guy with three fucking townhouses. You probably have 60 people living in this place. Instead, it's one guy. It's like, so this whole article is about how they should tax these fucking people. And they fucking should. In the 1970s, John Lennon and Yoko Ono rented the top floor of a modest multifamily brownstone at 105 Bank Street in Greenwich Village. They liked the relative anonymity of living in the area and the community of five other families with whom they shared the building. So that's six different fucking families in one of these fucking houses. Combining two of them and putting one guy in there. That's 12 families that are displaced because one that is wealth inequality. That is exact. This is a living, you don't need to look very far. Look around you everywhere. You see examples of fucking insane wealth inequality. This is what it is. This is why you can't find an apartment for $750 anywhere because some dickhead needs to buy two entire fucking brownstones and combine them. And he probably is never even there. He's probably there 4 months a year, if that. But that's capitalism and he earned it. That's the market. So, that's just the market. The market decides, he's got the money. You don't have the fucking money. Elon Musk has $1 trillion, man. It's the market. This is not an isolated case. Over the last 2 decades, New York City has lost at least 9,300 housing units to similar conversions. At a time when the city's vacancy rate is just 1.4%, we cannot afford to lose homes that already exist. This was written by Assemblyman Grace Lee and State Senator Eric Botker, who I will be voting for. Because I haven't heard anybody else talk about this. Use your fucking eyes. All you have to do is walk around the city and see, gee, that's a big ass fucking house in the West Village. Like, it's not, this neighborhood is historically like gay people, poets, like artists, Italian people. Like, it wasn't like .com cocksucking evil pieces of shit like it is now. We should fucking slaughter all of these people. When multifamily buildings are converted into like the Knicks fans should go to this guy's house and break the fucking door down. You know, fuck, fuck tearing up a bunch of buses in Times Square. Go to fucking, the West Village, break into this cocksucker's house and reclaim it. I'm just sick of how cowardly people are. When multifamily buildings are converted into single family residences, the impact extends beyond the loss of units. Fewer residents mean fewer customers for local businesses, less activity on our streets, and a gradual erosion of the neighborhood fabric that makes New York City special. You see that in the West Village now. It's not a neighborhood, it's like a resort for douchebags. With a historically low vacancy rate, New York City needs more housing, not less. This is why we introduced the Tear Down Tax Act. Our bill imposes a $50,000 surcharge for every residential unit removed and not replaced from the housing supply during multifamily to single family residential conversions. If you ask me, 50,000 is too low. But they are starting to get the message. Mom Donnie started this PA to tear tax, and now these people are talking about this. Bring it on, man. Bring on the fucking socialism. Tax these cocksuckers. Our bill imposes a blah, blah, blah. The revenue generated would be directed to the Landmarks Preservation Commission's Historic Preservation Grant Program, helping maintain and restore the buildings that anchor our neighborhoods. In this way, when housing units are lost, there is direct reinvestment in the affected communities. The proposal is not about stopping development, it is about aligning incentives so that development supports rather than diminishes our housing stock. See, this is what I'm saying is like you hear all this shit about you need to incentivize it. It's all about supply and demand. It's like this is what they should be doing. They need to disincentivize this kind of shit. They need to punish these people. If you want to do this, it's going to cost you, and it's going to cost you a lot. They need to discourage people from doing this. And in fact, if you're going to do this, you should have to replace what you're taking. This should be illegal. And if incentivizing it or disincentivizing it financially is the way they do it, let's get going. Let's jack this Pieter tear tax up. Let's fucking jack this shit up. Let's punish. This is how we tax these people, okay? It's like there shouldn't be any fucking conversation about taxing the billionaires. Like this is the number one problem in our society today is wealth inequality. Like it's so boring to talk about, but like these people have too much fucking money. They do not need it. And it is destroying, like they're saying, the fabric of our fucking society. And this is why we're all suffering. This is why 99% of the people are fucking suffering and can't afford rent and can't afford a nice life and can't afford a vacation and can't afford to have kids even. It's like that's pretty unprecedented. For most of American history, people could have fucking children, right? Every generation did better than their previous generation. Every generation in America did better than the parents' generation until now. And it's because these people have too much fucking money. Elon Musk and all of these fucking pieces of shit. We know this approach can work. Chicago implemented a similar teardown tax in 2021, interesting, and has seen since meaningful reductions in demolitions of middle class multifamily homes. The idea that anybody who's middle class or working class could live in the West Village is so absurdly laughable. It's literally you have to be in like the 0.1% to live there. And it's like, what changed? Why was it 50 years ago it was a fucking slum and now it's like literally the most expensive neighborhood in the fucking country? It's like, this is another problem I have with woke politics is like the West Village used to be gay. It used to be all fucking gay people. It was a bastion for that. And there's been so much fucking, you know, uh, razzmatazz and fucking rigmarole about fucking pronouns and, you know, accepting fucking homosexual, gay marriage and all this stuff. And it's like, well, look what fucking happened. How many gay people live in the West Village now? It's like the worst straight people that alive. It's like white Republican normies who should be at fucking like, you know, TPC at Sawgrass or something. These are people who go to the masters and shit. Like they're the worst people on earth. And so, what did the woke people win really? Nobody can afford a place to live. There is no middle class, there is no working class. And gay people are like, where the fuck do they live? They're displacing the people in this neighborhood. because they've been pushed out by the ultra rich, straight ass normies. Our neighborhood saw a 90% reduction in demolitions. So it works. Charge these fucking people. That's all they care about is their stupid money. Make them go back to fucking Nashville. If Chicago can do it, so can New York. The Teardown Tax Act is one piece of a broader housing strategy. Building new housing is essential, but so is protecting and preserving the housing we already have. We should be asking a simple question: are our policies encouraging the creation and preservation of homes or allowing them to disappear? New York City cannot solve its housing shortage by reducing its housing supply. The legislation is a straightforward step toward and what is I don't know where the rest of this is. Anyway, you get the fucking. This is if you everybody who gets polled now, like, what is their number one issue? This is what it is: affordability crisis, housing affordability. I've been talking about this for over fucking 10 years. While all the other people were talking about goddamn pronouns and shit, now we're all fucked because while all of that shit was going on, all of this dumb distraction about fucking niche, extremely niche shit that does not fucking matter, they this is what they did. They stole all of the fucking money. They rewrote all the taxes. They gave huge tax cuts to the richest fucking people. They rewrote all the fucking zoning or whatever the fuck they did. And now the West Village is like the Kentucky Derby. And they own the fucking internet. They own all the fucking apps. They own all the fucking channels of like creative expression. The art sucks. It's just a bunch of nepo babies and fucking Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift's dad is a finance fucking douchebag. She's not any different than these people. She's one of them. That's why they like her. We live in Taylor Swift's New York. Her dad was some kind of fucking, I think he worked for JP Morgan or something. It's like she is one of them. She is a fucking normie ass, basic ass, state school ass. I mean, did you see her at the Knicks game? It's like, fuck right off. You are not cool. You are not interesting. You are like the most basic white bread, uninteresting. Like, it's fucking pathetic that Taylor Swift is like the voice of a generation. It's a fucking pathetic excuse for a generation. And I don't consider myself a part of it. I hate all of it. Like, we weren't given a chance. We were not given a chance to speak for ourselves because it was all bought and paid for by boomer parents for their kids. Somebody like Taylor Swift's dad could just buy her way into the fucking music industry, pay for placement. The rest of us who are just trying to make it through meritocracy are fucked. We're live streaming to two fucking people on YouTube. Let me see. So, okay, what else do I have to talk about? That was really a lot of it. Let me just check my notes here real fast. Um, there was a lot of hatred toward Haim on Twitter. I'm proud to say that I've been hating on Haim for a long time, way before it was cool. Oh yeah, I'll talk about Spike Lee now, and that'll be the end. Well, I wanted to talk about Spike Lee influence on The Sopranos specifically. When I watch Sopranos, like, it's obvious to see like the Goodfella influence, kind of is Godfather influence, obviously. But honestly, the filmmaking of The Sopranos, when I watch it, I feel like it is most closely related to like a Spike Lee movie. It kind of feels like the technique they use. It all feels. I don't know if these directors went to NYU or what. Maybe they did. But and like Michael Imperioli, didn't he co-write Summer of Sam, or he wrote it or something? I think he's in it. There's a bunch of actors from Spike Lee movies in The Sopranos.
I think Jackie Aprile Sr. is in Summer of Sam, and I don't know. It's just it's not necessarily what you'd expect, but there's something about Spike Lee Do the Right Thing where it's like it's super accessible and kind of like fun or easy to watch, but there's also like a depth to it. There's a lot of thought. He has ideas. He has things to say. There's a sense of humor. There's kind of The Sopranos kind of has all of those qualities too. It's not There's things that it tries to do that are like a little bit more esoteric, like dream sequences and shit like that. And The Sopranos has a lot of remarkable filmmaking in it, to be honest. But it seems like it comes out of like that indie film movement of like the 90s. Like I think David Chase wanted to be like an indie film director. The Sopranos was sort of supposed to be like he probably would have preferred if it was like an indie movie, but it became this TV show instead. And I just think Spike Lee is kind of like underappreciated or something. I don't know. They should have had him direct an episode. Something about the cinematography. Uh, the characters are funny, but they're also like real. They're vivid. It's a portrait of kind of like a milieu. Like Do the Right Thing is really a portrait of like this whole block. It's sort of a portrait of a community, really. You got Radio Raheem, you got Samuel L. Jackson, you got the pizza place, Sal's Famous, you got Ruby D and Ozzie Davis, you got Mookie, you got Rosie Perez. There's a whole tableau of characters. And it's like you're really getting a portrait of this whole society in a way. And the race relations, the dynamics of that are a big part of it. Uh, Sopranos kind of has similarities to that. It's sort of a portrait of mafia life, suburban life. You have this panoply of characters. Uh, what else do I need to talk about? Anything else? Kind of getting tired. It's been 2 hours. I talked about the Knicks. I did my diatribe. Oh yeah, the Trump UFC thing. Or the war, is the war over? There's a new ceasefire. It's all fucking bullshit. The $1 trillion valuation I should probably talk about because that is kind of an unprecedented thing, kind of a new thing. I mean, it's just the financial class, which is kind of like the new aristocracy. They're the people that I'm persecuting throughout this stream, and like they've divorced themselves from like the means of production, and they've stolen all the money. And the stock market is this sort of collective death cult. It's a cult of personality. That's why they have so much invested in Elon Musk because first of all, I think he set the valuation of his own company, which is kind of insane. That should be illegal. You shouldn't just be able to say, "Oh, you know what? My company's worth $150 a share." That'd be like me saying, "Oh, you know what? Easy Paradise is worth $200 a share." And you know what? We're going to do a billion shares. Like bullshit. And supposedly, I don't know exactly what the deal is, but people are going to be forced to buy the stock through like their 401k somehow. So he's basically, I mean, it just feels totally criminal. It feels totally evil. Like all the people that are claiming like SpaceX is going to like, I think they said what SpaceX makes $18 billion a year, and it's mostly from like government contracts and shit. It's literally Elon Musk is an immigrant who's ripping off our tax dollars. Like he's the biggest welfare mom who has ever existed. And yet we're supposed to believe that US aid or like food stamps are like the enemy. It's like this guy got $1 trillion fucking dollars. That's practically the entire federal budget, you know. It just is not right. And it's just obnoxious. It throws everybody else's power out of whack, where it's like this guy could buy anything and it wouldn't even make a dent in his wealth. And it's like, well, supposedly SpaceX is going to put these data centers in outer space. It's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. That's why it's worth $1 trillion. It's based on potential future earnings. SpaceX supposedly has a monopoly on outer space, so they're going to make so much fucking money. It's like, it's all bullshit. It's based on Elon Musk's con. He's a con man and a fucking racist piece of shit. I mean, I can't even hardly get on Twitter. It's like it's anti-Semitism. It's racist as fuck. It's all like fighting, snuff films. There's this video they keep showing. Supposedly they forgot to tie this woman's bungee cord, and they threw it, so she died. It's like my Twitter is just like throwing this video at me. It's like, well, Elon Musk decided that. Elon Musk decided that this is the kind of shit he wants to poison people's brains with. Anti-Semitic rhetoric, racism, bum fights, and we don't have a choice. There is no regulation. There is no public defense against that. It's just like these people have all the fucking money, they have all the power. No one is doing anything about it. In fact, it's getting worse. This guy just got $1 trillion because a small class of people, people like Epstein, people like Howard Lutnick, the Epstein class of people, use Elon Musk as like a figurehead. He's a genius. He's a genius if you're a fucking retard. Or if you're rich and like your personal wealth is like going through the fucking roof. What they said, he created a bunch of millionaires because of this IPO. Well, this brings me, maybe this is the last thing I'll talk about. So I was reading this book about NAFTA today because you just hear all this shit about Bill Clinton and neoliberal and all this. So I was like, let me get to the bottom of this. Let me see what the real story is. And like the book is long and it's a little bit dry. The people who wrote it seem, they're professors. I think one of them taught at Berkeley or something, and the other one teaches at somewhere in New York. I forget where. CUNY Grad Center, maybe. I don't remember. So it was like, all the blurbs were like from like Biden people and shit. Like it wasn't like some right wing fucking Bill O'Reilly book, like it was Democrats talking about how Bill Clinton betrayed the working class and sold out the unions and shit like that, organized labor. And so I just wanted to see how much truth to this there actually is, because a lot of time the finer points of how shit goes down are lost to history. And people are just, Bill Clinton did sign NAFTA. That is true. That's all we know now. And so he gets all, we shit all over Bill Clinton for destroying manufacturing in this country or whatever. But it's like, is that the real story? I figured reading a book about it would be the most accurate way. That's what people claim about books is, it's the best way to fucking learn about something or whatever. So I was like, let me fucking read this. So anyway, it basically said, first of all, NAFTA was negotiated by George Bush before Bill Clinton became president. So he didn't even really have anything to do with the fucking like actual bill itself. And the idea, from what I understand, was Ross Perot had this famous quote that he said where if they sign NAFTA, there will be a giant sucking sound of all the manufacturing jobs going to Mexico because the labor there is so cheap that the American corporations will take their jobs there, so it'll kill all the manufacturing jobs in the United States. And from what I understand, okay,
they didn't really explain why Bill Clinton like decided to be pro NAFTA. They said on the campaign trail he went to, particularly in the South, right? They said the thing about NAFTA in particular with the Democratic Party is the Southern Democrats, the white Southern voters for the Democratic Party, that was where they kind of like diverged. People thought, like, there's a famous LBJ quote when he signed the Civil Rights Act. He said, "We lost the South for a generation," which was not actually true. The Democrats maintained a majority in the House until 1994 when Newt Gingrich came in and the contract with the American, blah, 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 all of that shit. The Democrats literally had a majority in the House, I think, from World War II until 1994. And it's a lot of it is because of NAFTA. But NAFTA was sort of a bipartisan issue. I think part of it was Bill Clinton was trying to get like a bipartisan win for some reason. They were talking about Dick Gephardt. Dick Gephardt was one of the other Democrat contenders for the presidential nomination. And Dick Gephardt didn't like NAFTA. He was like more of a working or whatever, supporter of organized labor or whatever. But I think part of what they said was one of the reasons why they passed NAFTA. One of the conditions that they wanted to negotiate was if it passed, the United States would have more of a say and could intervene in Mexican manufacturing industry if the wages weren't high enough, if the standards, if the regulations weren't high enough or strict enough. And so the idea was that they were going to lose these jobs anyway, supposedly. That is what the conclusion was. Is like for whatever reason, the United States had been had been hemorrhaging manufacturing jobs since the 70s, probably because of fucking Nixon taking us off the gold standard or something. I don't exactly know why, but we'd been losing manufacturing since the 70s, right? And I think that's true. If you look at like Springsteen and shit, it's like he's talking about that shit in the early 80s, right? About how, the factory shut down or whatever. Like that is a common trope way before for fucking Bill Clinton, through Reagan era, Bush, Nixon era, whatever. So to some degree, it was a foregone conclusion that we were going to lose these jobs. At least that was part of their understanding. And so what they were trying to do with NAFTA was create better jobs for Mexico so we wouldn't have to compete with them. The idea was they were trying to raise the wage in Mexico to make it more of an even playing field, whereas the wages were so low in Mexico, the jobs were going to go there anyway. The corporations were going to take those jobs there anyway. NAFTA was an attempt to, and there was some sense that like Bill Clinton wanted to pass NAFTA with special provisions to protect organized labor, to protect the working manufacturing class in America. That was one of his conditions of doing it. It wasn't just like, fuck it, send the jobs to Mexico. They thought that they could do both. They thought they could put special regulations in the bill that was going to, I don't know how, fucking somehow prevent these companies from taking their jobs overseas or whatever. Uh, and so it wasn't just like now the perception is, well, Bill Clinton just did it because the corporations wanted him to, and he probably made a bunch of fucking money or was bought off by APAC or whatever the fuck it is. And it said he wanted there to be special provisions about the environment and about protecting jobs in NAFTA when he signed it. It wasn't just like, fuck it, we're going to give the corporations everything they want so they can, make more money for the fucking whatever, for themselves, the shareholders. The idea was there were going to be provisions in NAFTA to protect the environment. So, like, they couldn't just dump shit and pollute and blah, blah, blah. And also to make sure, I think even said something about like NAFTA was going to create jobs in the United States. I don't really understand how, I suppose, because, like I said, the idea was like with globalization, there would be less competition. They would create good, and there already was good manufacturing in Mexico. They already had auto, they could already make cars fast and cheap and well. And so I don't know, the writing was sort of already on the wall or something. And NAFTA actually passed it with more Republican votes than Democrat votes. So even though Bill Clinton signed it, more Republicans voted for it than Democrats. Bill Clinton was the president, and at it's hindsight's 2020, right? Everybody looks at NAFTA now and goes like, why the fuck did they do that? Why did Bill Clinton sell out the fucking working class? But at the time, I don't think that he thought that was what was going to happen. I mean, he was wrong, I guess, or at least that's the fucking, narrative that's drilled in everybody's heads, because now there is no more working class. There are no more like union jobs, manufacturing jobs, whatever. But, uh, like a lot of these things, as you're living through it, you see all the nuances, all the back and forth. A lot of it had to do with the election. I think they said something about like, uh, if Bill Clinton said he supported NAFTA, it would cause Ross Perot to like Ross Perot like dropped out of the race summer of '91, and then he got back in the race, I think in September or October or something. And so the idea was, if Bill Clinton supported NAFTA, that would give Ross Perot a surge in the polls where he would take votes away from George Bush. And so it's something that sort of helped Bill Clinton get elected, ironically. Uh, Even though a lot of people were opposed to NAFTA, uh, some of it was politics. They keep talking about Robert Reich. I think Robert Reich was Bill Clinton's labor secretary or something. Robert Reich didn't love NAFTA, but I think, Bill Clinton promised that there was going to be provisions to protect the workers, to protect the jobs, to protect the environment. That didn't really come to pass. So, but as I said, more Republicans voted for it than Democrats. The Republicans are the ones who actually passed the fucking bill, not Bill Clinton. And it was a Republican bill. It was written by George Bush. I think they said it was one of the first things Bill Clinton did, or it was like early in his presidency or something. It was before he tried to do welfare reform. I think to some degree he was trying to reach across the aisle and be like bipartisan with these things, which, like I said, with these situations, it's way more complicated and nuanced than like history paints it. History paints it in this very black and white way, where like Bill Clinton just fucked everybody and he did it on purpose. And it's like, well, I don't know. I don't necessarily think his intentions were bad. I and who knows what the vibe was at the time. I was like 7 years old or something. So, but I would say that that is the reason why we have the economic populism that we have now, is because, it wasn't the Southern strategy that cost the Democrats the South in the House. It was NAFTA, and particularly white Rust Belt blue collar voters. I mean, we're still faced with that, right? Like that's why Hillary lost. That's why fucking, people wanted Bernie and shit, because people looked at the Clintons like, well, these fucking monsters just sold us out, and they're the reason why there's no middle class. And it's a lot of white people who used to have, it's a lot of uneducated Southern white people who are racist fucking anyway, generally speaking. And they had good jobs before. They said textiles and, like clothes and shit, apparel. We used to make a lot more of that in the United States. But of course, that all went overseas because they could do sweatshops and shit like that. They used to make that shit in the South or whatever, cotton, small time factories and shit went out of business all over the South. And so there was a lot of pissed off white people that suddenly were not making, like a good living with benefits from manual labor. And so what did they do? They blame Mexicans, they blame black people, they blame Tren de Aragua, who you name it, MS-13, immigrants. It's still the same fucking narrative, right? Tariffs play into it too. There was something about the New Deal. There were less tariffs to encourage trade. And, that's a big Trump thing, right? Like he jacked, before that, there was a lot of tariffs. That was part of how, I don't know, the United States fucking maintained parity or something with their import export. I don't even know. It's all this shit is super fucking complicated. It's super hard to wrap your mind around. And but I thought that was an interesting thing because that's like one of big Trump's big issues, right? Is fucking tariffs. And they were talking specifically about how the New Deal lowered tariffs, maybe to encourage trade, so American manufacturing could, you know, interact easier with other countries or whatever. But let me make sure this. Now it's raining hard, everybody. All right, I'm gonna get off pretty soon, but thank you guys for watching. Go back and watch from the beginning. I think we covered a lot of ground. We talked about the Knicks. We talked about NAFTA. We talked about housing, the supply, the economy. Bill Clinton's a pretty fucking smart guy. The way that this book made it sound is just like he didn't really have a good reason for supporting NAFTA. Maybe there was some kind of secret corporate money that they don't know about it or they weren't talking about it, but they kind of just made it sound like it was arbitrary. Like Bill Clinton was just like, you know what, I'll do this NAFTA thing. Fuck it. It's like I doubt if it was that simple. And maybe he did deregulate a lot of shit. Maybe he did fucking send a lot of jobs overseas. Who the fuck is he a neoliberal? Ooh, it's thunder and lightning out there, people. I'd like to read more of the book, but it also didn't really feel like it told the whole story. But it's kind of interesting how we're still dealing with the fallout of this. How this is still the fucking like main thing that people are pissed off about. This is why they like Bernie. This is why they want economic populism, like Ross Perot. I mean, Ross Perot really was not that different than Bernie. They kind of had similar. They're like outliers. Spoilers. They sent Bernie to be the Ross Perot of the Democrats. They saw what Ross Perot did to George Bush. So they're like, hey, we need one of those. We need one of those for the Democrats. I know, we'll get fucking. But, socialism is working in Mamdani's New York. Democratic socialism. And uh, is there anything else about NAFTA I need to say? In any case, it was like a controversial thing. Half of his staff disagreed with it. Half of them were sort of on board. Like I said, more fucking it was more Republicans voted for it. They're the ones that fucking passed it. So if anyone should get the blame, it should be them. They wrote the fucking bill and they passed it. Just because Bill Clinton signed it, I don't know. I think he was trying to compromise or reach across the aisle. They said he gave some speech that was not finished when he gave it. they handed him some speech that was like incomplete. And as he was reading it, it claimed that the speechwriter threw in, they didn't know exactly how many jobs NAFTA would create. So they just put 1 million, which was a placeholder until they could actually figure out how many jobs it would create. But Bill Clinton is reading a speech that was not finished. This is what the book said. This doesn't really sound plausible to me. I mean, it's the fucking president, but it said he's reading the speech and he's like, NAFTA is going to create 1 million new jobs in America. And it said his eyes bulged out when he read it because he thought, well, whoa, that's kind of a big promise to make. And he sort of had to like improvise the rest of the speech. And it's like, NAFTA was supposed to create 1 million new jobs. That's what people heard. That's what people took away from it. NAFTA is going to create 1 million new jobs, which did not happen, or I don't know. I mean, I think it did create some fucking jobs. I mean, look at now. Look at Trump's fucking economy. It's like the dude has literally not created a single fucking job since he's become president. And in fact, we probably lost shitloads of jobs, and people seem psyched about it. Let's get the AI in there. It's like, well, what? That's way fucking worse than NAFTA. You know, these Mexicans are human beings. Not just a fucking robot. They said a lot of SpaceX's valuation is based on Grok. That is fucking retarded. Grok is worthless. I saw this answer Grok gave. Ugh. It was, they showed Grok a picture of a slave ship with a bunch of people rowing beneath the deck, and then all the rich people on the deck were like eating and shit. It's like, hey, Grok, is this like what capitalism is like? And Grok is like, no, capitalism is based on, choice and freedom, and, there's no coercion. It's like, social communism is where there's like people get, and it's like bullshit. Like there's tons of coercion in capitalism. There's no freedom. Everybody has to like make money at all costs. You have to do a bunch of shit you don't want to do. Like it's all coercive. It's not like a free market. It's not like you get to do what you want. It's like you're a slave basically. It's just there's this illusion of free choice, which is like, you know, whatever the best job you can get, if you're lucky, maybe. But Grok is just programmed by fucking idiots. And these, it's like Pinocchio or something. It's like these AI are a reflection of their programmers. They have the same understanding as the programmers. The programmers have an agenda. The programmers, and so it's like propaganda. Like Grok is not like an objective, intelligent source. It's like a little Elon Musk fucking fascist century. It's not. It's not smart. It's not. It doesn't have the best interests of the many. It's just a tool for these fucking billionaires to claim that like they have some kind of super intelligence that we're just supposed to listen to so they can control us and tell us what to do. It's like, oh, well, look at Grok. It's AI. It's way smarter than you. It's AI. Ask the AI. It's like, fuck the AI. I'm not listening to that shit. I've got my own fucking brain. I'll John Henry that shit. I don't give a fuck. So fuck SpaceX. What a joke. I hope that motherfucker goes down in a fucking rocket crash. I'd love to see Elon Musk get challengered. The sooner the better. The fucking drug addict. The broken dick. Did people see Clav's nose job? We won't get into that. Is there any other shit I want to talk that does no good on the internet? Thank you guys for watching. NAFTA. AI is way fucking worse. At least NAFTA didn't like come and build fucking data centers in your fucking backyard that create this like ungodly whistling sound. It's like fucking children of the corn shit. The locusts. It sounds like a plague of locusts.
these data centers, and now they're going to put them in space. Elon Musk's stock valuation is based on these empty promises that all of these fucking billionaires that are divorced from reality need to believe to justify the insane amount of money that they're creating out of bullshit. It's all speculation. It's never going to happen. We are never going to go to fucking Mars. There are never going to be data centers in space. It's all fucking lies. And if you believe it, you're a fucking retard. Fuck this broken dick piece of shit. He's a racist. He's an immigrant. He's taking our jobs. Send Elon Musk back to fucking South Africa. Deport the cocksucker. I mean, how dare he cut U.S. aid? They said these U.S. aid cuts are going to lead to like millions of deaths. Like, he's a mass murdering piece of shit. And now he's the richest guy in the world. What a joke. Oh, yeah, because SpaceX is going to make so much fucking money when we put these data centers in outer space. Holy shit. We're going to be rich, guys. It's like, the Dutch are the ones who did all this shit in Africa. If you look at this shit, we're like blood diamond shit. Like these are the worst fucking people that ever lived. Americans get a horrible rap, but look at what the fucking Dutch did in Africa, cutting off people's arms and shit. Those are Elon Musk's ancestors. Like this guy is a rotten, evil piece of shit. And they're kind of doing the same thing. This whole endeavor into space with these stocks and shit. It's just like the Dutch East India Company or all these stupid corporations that were formed to settle this country and colonize this country. Except now they think they're going to do it on fucking Mars. It's absurd. And the entire value of his company is based on this pipe dream. It's just crazy that like we're supposed to like give a fuck what the stock market is, or like it's the only thing that matters, really. It's really the only thing that matters. Like we're willing to sacrifice literally our entire civilization because the aristocracy of this country, all of their wealth is bound up in the stock market. And they live a completely different life than us. If you're not a finance person, you're gonna be you're gonna die probably. You're gonna go to jail. You're gonna be so fucking poor. You're gonna be left out of whatever the fuck wealth is created. It doesn't matter how hard you work. The productivity has been totally divorced from the wage. So, and that's sort of what this article is about. You know, the housing affordability crisis. All this guy is saying is like basically people should get paid more. A woman who makes 30 grand a year cannot afford this. She needs to get paid more. It's like, well, they rewrote the rules, Reagan and all these people, where it's like Elon Musk can have $1 trillion fucking dollars. The rest of us have not less than ever. It's like, when is it going to stop? When is somebody going to do something about this? When is it going to break? When is the fucking people just not going to take it anymore? I wish they'd get off their fucking asses from watching stupid fucking basketball and do something about the wealth inequality. Hopefully that's the next thing. Hopefully we'll just storm these fucking they're all in New York. Most of there's more billionaires in New York than any other fucking city on earth. They're not in their bunkers yet. We need an army of Luigi's. Sincerely. We need a fucking army of Luigi's. Did Trump was there another assassination attempt yet? They were afraid he was going to get killed by a drone tonight. Let me see. Is there anything new about the UFC shit? I just want to see about this fucking stupid UFC fight. Trump has turned the White House into a backyard wrestling venue. Oh my God.
I don't know. I mean, it's so fucking obvious what the problem is, you know. But they you hear so much bullshit about, well, we can't raise the minimum wage because inflation. We can't give poor people more money because there'll be inflation. It's like that is the fucking problem. You know, they need to give us more money. It's that fucking simple. You know, how many statistics are where it's like, oh, you need to make $60 an hour to be able to have the same spending power as they had in 1970 or whatever. It's like, well, pay everybody $60 an hour. It's that fucking simple. Like that would be fair. It wouldn't even, it wouldn't even affect these billionaires that much, right? You could take $990 billion away from Elon Musk and it wouldn't change his lifestyle at all. Maybe he couldn't play with his little rockets, his stupid little phallic fucking symbols. He wouldn't be able to play with his fucking dick surrogates. But his own dick is broken, so it's all he has is his little toys and his spite for the rest of humanity. And how everybody's mean to him on Twitter, even though he bought it so he can control the narrative. Somebody needs to assassinate that motherfucker, especially now that he's the first trillionaire. It's like, we live in the upside down. The worst piece of shit on the planet is the richest guy who's ever lived. That's all that's all he was trying to say. He didn't really want to kill that guy. He drove him to that because our lives, if that's what they don't understand is like they're trying to push us to the breaking point. They're trying to wipe us out a little bit at a time. Bad food, you're going to be homeless, you're going to be stressed, you're going to be working too much, you're going to get fucking cancer, everything's deregulated, you're going to die young, life expectancy is plummeting. They want us dead. They want to work us to death. They don't want us to be able to fight back. They want us distracted by fucking basketball and pain. And we have to work too hard to even think about fighting back. I can't because I'm tired from my job. So I don't know what people's breaking point is going to be. Why can't we take that same energy from Saturday night and put it towards, you know, an angry mob outside of the billionaire's house? They all live on the Upper East Side. They all live in these, let's find their addresses, man. Let's get a fucking posse together. And either they pay us Elon Musk, you have $1 trillion, man. Just give me 1 million. That'd be nothing to that guy. It'd be absolutely nothing to that guy. And yet I couldn't even imagine having $1 million. Like we are so far from having $1 million, it's insane. Most of us will never fucking come even close to that. And so that is literally the problem. These people have all the money and it's corroding our society and driving people over the brink. It's unlivable. There is no affordability because we don't have any fucking money. They underpay us. Even if minimum wage is $20 an hour, it's still not enough. Like this money for better or worse is in circulation. We've already printed it. The problem is they are hoarding it. Elon Musk talks about it. He talks about capital allocation. He says he's better at capital allocation than the government. He thinks all of the money that the government has, he should have because he knows better, because he's a genius. He's going to build whatever those hyperloop tunnels or whatever.
It's all lies. It's all just vanity. He's rich. He's convinced a bunch of fucking morons in a cult of personality that he's Tony Stark. What a fucking joke. All of the stupidest fucking people have all the power and all the money. And the rest of us don't have anything. And we're being killed by it. So we got to fight back. We have to fight back. Like this is not a choice. Luigi had some kind of spine problem. So he had chronic pain. He had a reason, his life was over basically because he didn't have health care. Like Walter White. That was the reason why Walter White became a meth dealer, right? Because he didn't have fucking health care. He got lung cancer, terminal, and it was going to make him go bankrupt because this is a fucked up society run by the most evil people alive, the Epstein people who, you know, fucking torture children and shit. Kill them all. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good night. We'll be on soon.